Yeah. Hi, Abhinav.
Yeah, Thanks for that glorious introduction, and that was really nice. So I'll just start by introducing myself and what I've been doing over the past few years. So hi, I'm Abhinav Jain, and I currently work in the thought leadership team in HSBC London. I know thought leadership sounds like a really fancy word, but what we exactly do is provide hedging solutions to corporate clients of HSBC. I have close to 5 years of work experience in the financial services industry. Most of my work experience has been around the quantitative analytics side of the business, focused on derivative pricing and making risk measurement models. I have been also very fortunate to work in offices in the New York City, London, and Bangalore. I know all of this sounds really nice, but I have had my own set of challenges as well. So while I was progressing in my career, so it's not like I knew that I wanted to make a career in finance, but I started working in this field and I started enjoying some of the things I did, and now my life has brought me to London, which I'm really excited about. Yeah.
Well, that's great. That's a wonderful perspective to life. You really are the living embodiment of flexibility and passion. So, with this wonderful beginning, let us move on to the next part of the interview, the question answer session. So, the
Yeah.
first questions that the students have put up for you, Mr. Abhinav, is that what kind of industries hire ISC UGs? Are these more jobs mostly core or mostly non-core?
So I don't think it's set in stone, right? So from what I have seen, the data science industry has really picked up some traction recently. I personally know a couple of people who are working in this field. Another field where I believe undergrads from IISc are placed are the education sector. Basically, this field focuses on advancements in the education sector through the use of technology. Then I think from my batch, I know a couple of people, including me, who are in the financial services industry, doing some sort of quantitative work in the banks. There are some people who are working in some research labs in the US, but that's after doing their master's or PhD from some of the universities over there. There is also a very good friend of mine who is running his own theater company. So it's something that it's completely non-mainstream. And another friend of mine who was working with the same theater company, but he also worked with the very popular Cult Fit franchisee as a dance fitness instructor. So you can see like the opportunities are definitely like unlimited. And your second question about core or non-core jobs, from from my experience, I have seen people after just undergraduate studies have been better placed in the non-core industries like, let's say, data science or finance. I believe this is just because how the industry is structured. The core industry, like let's say the aerospace industry, looks at hiring people with at least a master's degree. Whereas in the non-core industries, the profiles are looked at from a more holistic point of view. And there are not a lot of restrictions on what your major should be in undergrad or if you have a master's degree or not. So you can take my example. I had a material science major and I had studied a course in the mechanical engineering department on the topic of modeling and simulation. That course, combined with some of the skills that I gained in the first year during my algo and data structure course, it helped me fetch my first job as a quant in Ernst& Young. So the hiring managers valued the diverse skill set I had from all the electives I had studied in IISc, and they were ready to give me an opportunity in the world of finance. And I could learn finance on the job from thereafter. So yeah, but anyways, long story short, I wouldn't say that it's impossible to get a job after UG from IISc. It probably just needs some extra effort and just some thinking about it.
Right.
That's all. Yeah.
Right. That must surely settle a lot of doubts and worries among the students. And the second question that we have for today is, in general, what industries can a math major or a physics major work in after completing their UG degree from IISc?
I think definitely finance. One of the
Yeah.
most directly applied fields would be quantitative finance because a lot of the coursework that we study in IISc directly overlaps with some of the like financial mathematics theory, underlying financial mathematics theory that we work on in the banks. So basically, controls like with banks like Goldman Sachs, JPMorgan, etc. That would be a very good fit. Then roles in the data science or artificial intelligence space, like roles like machine learning engineers in companies like Amazon, LinkedIn, Mastercard. These might be very good fit as well. So like I know some people who were working in Microsoft research as interns or in the LinkedIn's research department as an intern. So there might be other roles which I'm directly not aware about. But as I said earlier, the opportunities are unlimited, and you can do pretty much whatever you want.
All right. Well, that's good for physics and maths major students, I'm sure. And the third question that we have for today is, so how exactly do you deal with societal and parental pressure when making the decision to come into academia-focused programs like IISc, and then deciding to go into non-academic careers later on?
I think this is a very important question that you've asked. So like how I'll answer this is I'll break it down into two parts. So first is whether you want to join an academic focused course like IISc or not. Then the second question you need to answer is after completing your undergrad at IISc, whether you want to stay in academia or not. Now, you would not know the answer to the second question until you find the answer to the first question, right? So let's say the answer to the first question is yes, you do end up studying at IISc. Then that is a decision you make and you need to stick by it. Will people ask you 100 questions about going to academia and doing path-breaking research later? I think definitely yes. People will ask you all those questions. Can you control what people are asking you? I don't think so. You can. So my suggestion would be to not think about things which you can't control. What you can control is how you shape your studies and your coursework at IISc and your career thereafter. So once you have no regrets about basically joining the course at IISc and you have significant belief in yourself, you would be easily able to answer the second question, which is if you want to stay in academia or not. If you decide not to stay in academia, then that is that, and you stick by it. And so this has been like my way of handling the external pressure, which I sometimes have got in the past.
All right, that's really, I guess, that relieves a lot of people, because this is by far one of the most important and possibly the most asked question out there. So yeah, now the next question is, right, so this is a very important question. How important is CGPA for getting a job, like the grade point in college?
So again, two aspects to it. First thing, I don't see it as a deal breaker. For what it's worth, I was probably the last few people in my batch, if you rank order by CGPA. So
Right.
yeah, I think what really matters is the skills you learn while you're studying at IISc. And I had a decent understanding of, as you said, programming languages, and I was moderately good at understanding numbers. I was also very good at making relations with people, networking, and getting things done. So I had certain set of soft skills that I had. So I would say CGPA is just one part of the equation, the bigger picture. So there are many other parts to it, but which there are many other parts to it which you need to focus on. But this also doesn't mean that you end up not studying when you are in IISc. You are a part of like a very good institution, and I think you should respect the curriculum and study thoroughly. That would be my advice to the students.
So there's hope, but no studying is wrong.
No study
Right.
is definitely wrong.
Right. So yeah, the next question that is there is probably one this is you have answered before, but in detail. So is it better to have a master's degree before applying for a technical job?
Again, yeah, I think it depends. If let's say you want to, again, taking the example of the aerospace industry, if you want to work in the aerospace industry or any other kind of a core industry, you might need a master's degree. I'll be very frank with you, because that's just how some of the industries are structured. They want people who have at least graduate level of education beforehand. However, industries like banking, consulting, data science, you might be able to jump in to these industries without a formal master's degree. So you can do a lot of on-the-job learning in these industries. So you need to basically first set out what kind of an industry are you aiming for, and then there are these requirements that you need to fulfill. If masters is one of the like deal breakers to get into those industries, then yes, definitely that helps.
Right. Very important information in this aspect. So the next question that we have is, what exactly are the benefits of doing an MBA after BS from IISc for a job related to corporate or marketing?
I think the benefits are very clear to me. Once you do an MBA in, let's say, marketing, you have very formal channels of like placements and other career forums which are present in business schools, which can help you network within the marketing space, and that can help you achieve your goals better if marketing is something you want to grow in. However, expecting like a pure play marketing job after pursuing a science course like ours, IISc, it might be sort of an over expectation. So uh, it might be possible to get a job after IISc in marketing, but it might still be an over expectation just because the right channels might not exist. So MBA would definitely help in this case.
Right. So for anybody who's pursuing an MBA, it's good news. So the next question that we have is taking a minor. So do companies give importance to the minors that we take in our college?
Again, as I said, people care about skills more in the long run than the degree you earned or your major. In short term, it might be helpful to have, let's say, a physics as a major and maths as a minor. But 1 year after you are in the industry, these things lose importance quite quickly. What might still be relevant is the skills you have earned in the courses apart from your major, which essentially constitute your minor, right? So sometimes doing a minor can be sort of an overkill, basically because to complete your minor, you have to focus on, let's say, 5 or 6 courses in one particular area. Let's say maths in my example. However, you can diversify your courses and take more job focused courses which are present in IISc and to complete your credits and not work towards a minor. So that might be helpful in your job search later.
That's an important insight into minors.
Okay.
So the next question being, what major or electives should I choose to get into marketing or finance like you? So and do certifications like CFA help?
So I'll comment about finance first and then marketing.
Yeah.
For jobs in finance, I would say the first 3 courses in UG should be very thorough. First 3 math courses. So basically multivariate calculus, linear algebra, stats and probability. These are all a part of our curriculum in the first 3 semesters. Um, if you can study stochastic calculus in undergrad, that would be very helpful as well. But I'm aware that it's probably not a undergrad course for a lot of people. So yeah, that's that. Certifications like CFA definitely help. However, I would not suggest jumping into CFA directly unless you're very sure about a career in finance. But if you think this is something you would want, then yes, definitely CFA is a really good start. You can start from level 1 and then keep on working towards it. About marketing, I cannot really say because it's I'm just not in the field, and but however, I think gaining some soft skills while working in different clubs in the college would definitely help. Like I worked a lot in a lot of events in Pravega. 2 years, the 2014 and 2015 edition of Pravega, I was actively involved. I was also involved in like the undergraduate magazine called Quarks in IISc. So those things helped me gain a lot of soft skills, which I feel might be relevant for like jobs in marketing.
That's pretty important for people who are pursuing these fields. It's a great guidance. And so the next question that has been put up, students, is what are the prospects of joining civil services after BS? And has anybody you know done this before?
So I have some friends who are doing this, and I think from what they've told me, the prospects are really good. I'm not sure if anyone has already cleared the civil services exam yet, but I personally know a couple of people who are pursuing this path forward, and they are able to fare well in the early stages of the exams. In case anyone wants to know more about it, please like feel free to reach out to me, and I can connect you to the right people. Yeah, it's just a place where I don't have a lot of experience, so I would not want to comment about it.
There is a lot of scope in this as well, it's for sure.
Yeah, that is definitely
And
true. Yes.
the next question being, so there are a lot of math majors who would like to get into like finance or economics after the graduation. And since obviously you're already in the finance industry, what would be your advice for these students in their undergraduate?
My advice would be to just network very sincerely. If you are a math major, then the skill set is already there, which you need to get into the industry. I think the major thing that most of the people lack are the networking abilities. Please try to network as much as possible. Make a LinkedIn profile, send connection requests to everyone you think is from IISc and might be able to help. It does not cost anything. In terms of monetary cost, it's 0 rupees that are you need to spend. It's just your time that you need to invest. Uh, I just believe in this thing, right? Like if you don't ask, you will not get something. So unless you network with people and ask them for help, you will not get their help. That said, please make like a LinkedIn profile and reach out to people. This is something you should start from the second or third year, so that by the time you are in your final year, you already have the network ready, and it's just about actively reaching out to your contacts to like get a final job after your undergrad studies.
So the importance of networking cannot be undermined for sure, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the next question being, so as I already said, you were the chief placement coordinator at IISc UG. So does staying at IISc for masters help in campus placements, or like what type of job profiles are offered in campus placements?
So I'm
UGs.
not sure if that really helps in terms of placements, right? It might help. I think the fifth year might help students who are in the middle of, let's say, some academic research and want to get that extra year to do more research and publish some journals or papers. In terms of job search, the placement season starts pretty early in the fall semester anyway. So it does not give you an extra year, just a couple of more months after you complete your fourth year. So my suggestion would be to give your best effort in the fourth year. Don't think of the fifth year as a safety net. I've seen a lot of students doing that. I would say don't think of fifth year as a safety net. If you are genuinely interested in the studies that you might do in the fifth year, definitely go for it. But uh, in terms of job, I don't think one extra year is going to uh, like increase your prospects substantially. Regarding the jobs that are offered at campus placements, I think the scenario has changed very much from the past 5 years when I was working as the placements coordinator in IISc. When I started, there were no formal placements for undergrad, but right now I know that some companies have started interviewing undergrads on campus during the placement season, and the prospects have definitely improved a lot. Regarding actual roles, it might be worth checking with the last year's placement team. But from what I know, last year a couple of people were like hired by a team in HSBC. There's someone in Mindtree, so like all sorts of data science and analytics roles. I am aware that people were able to get.
That's a definite
Yeah,
eye opener. That's really
yeah.
great. So the next question is that, yeah, so obviously you have spent your undergraduate days in ISC. So could you share a few stories from your UG days, and what do you think has changed in Pravega after so many years?
I think Pravega has grown many folds. I think I've attended every edition of Pravega since the like right the first edition in 2014 till the edition that we had in 2020. I think I've just missed the 2016 edition because I wasn't in the country. I think the scale at which the workshops happen have improved a lot. Also, the scale of the cultural events have increased. The pro nights happen at a very big scale right now. Um, Pravega has some good acceleration, and I think it's only going to increase from here. In terms of stories from my undergraduate days, I think I have so many stories. It's just difficult to pick one. But I had this group in IISc called as Hunters. We were seven undergraduate students. We used to do all sorts of fun in college. We were seven guys. We had a couple of bikes in college. If anyone, let's say, felt a little sad for whatever reason, being away from home, not performing good at studies, or any sort of stress that you might go through, we used to just take our bikes at any time in the day. Like it can be 12 o'clock in the day or 1 o'clock in the night, and we used to just go to the airport to have tea at Chai Point. So I think that was a real fun experience. And we also kind of became like the unofficial ambassadors of Zoom Car in our last year. There was a time when we had Zoom cars to go to lecture halls from our hostel in N Block and to the old physics building. Yeah. Me personally, I took part in a lot of events. So sometimes organizing, sometimes participating, sometimes also clicking a lot of photos for people over there. So I think I had way too much fun in ISC, and I would suggest the people to have fun as well while they can. Yeah,
Sure, had a hell of a college life for sure.
yeah,
And
definitely.
really expecting to see you at the next Pravega as well. Looking forward
Yeah,
to meet
let's hope.
you.
Fingers
Yeah.
crossed.
So yeah, the next question being, so like you're majored in material sciences, and it is arguably the most industry relevant major at ISUG, and your major was material science, as I said. So what would be your advice for those looking for work like in the material science industry?
If you want to work in the material science industry, think about doing a master's, preferably from one of the universities in Europe or US, because they have very structured programs. And I think definitely, like it's one of those core industries, right, which I was mentioning. It helps getting a master's to get into the industry. I don't think there was a lot of scope for undergrads to work in the material science industry after like undergrad, at least at my time when I was graduating in 2015. But things might have changed now. However, I'll still stick to this answer that doing a master's definitely helps if you want to pursue a career in material science. Also, I think a material science being the most industry relevant major is kind of a false positive. I think it has just been labeled like this because some of the people who are in the industry right now majored in material science, and that's it. I think the skills you might earn in physics or maths are going to be much more relevant if you start looking at the application side of things as well. If let's say you have a problem in physics and just trying to code it as well as apart from like just solving it on pen and paper might help you a lot in like getting jobs further. Regarding me majoring in material science, I think the part that played the most importance was having wonderful and supportive professors in the department. I think there were like, I think we were 10 of us who were majoring in material science at my time. And we had a very nice support from our professors in terms of career guidance and just general support in our college life. So,
That's really good for anybody who is looking to work in the industry. So
yeah.
there's your guidance. And I think, okay, so the last question that we have is, what things do you think the future placement coordinators at IISc UG should do to increase the placements at IISc? Any
I
suggestions from
think
your side?
there are three words, right? Network, network, and network. Like these are the three things you need to do, which are probably the same, but you need to network a lot. So I cannot underscore how much important is networking these days. So when I was the placement coordinator, even though there were not a lot of students interested in pursuing jobs in the industry, I still made a placements brochure for the UG course, and I used to personally go and meet people, anyone who was visiting the campus from the industry. You would not believe, but I've literally taken that brochure to the reception of companies in Bangalore, saying that I want to meet the HR over here because there are some people in IISc who want a job, and I need to meet them. But that might have been an overkill, but the attitude has to be something like this. You need to network with a lot of people and reach out to them for jobs. You might connect with, let's say, 100 people, and only 10 out of those 100 people might reply, out of which only one might be actually helpful. But you will not find that one person unless and until you reach out to those 100 people. So just put in your 100% effort in outreach. That
So
would be
we
my
missed the
advice.
ideal coordinator by a few years.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so these are all the questions that we had, and now we are open to the live Q&A from the audience, and I see that a lot of questions have been put up for you. So
Okay.
brace yourself. So I think, yeah, the first question that we have is, okay, this is a very good one. Do you miss the academic environment after switching from academics to like jobs?
I think I definitely miss that environment, and I sometimes, even right now, I feel like going back to the academic environment because of the amount of flexibility I had. It was just amazing. So right now, I have to follow like a certain schedule in a day, and I have to get things done right on time, which is very important. Which is a very important part of my job. But in academia, at least, like I had a lot of freedom to take things at my own pace, and then
Yeah.
also like involve some fun around it. It's not like I don't have fun right now, but I think I definitely miss the academic environment.
So it's the
It's more
freedom part
laid back.
that is the major
Yeah,
part you
yeah,
miss.
yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely miss that.
So the next question that the audience has asked is, so comparatively, how are the jobs in foreign versus jobs in India?
Um, I I would not be able to comment about that because I think the job scene in India is very good these days. It's not like an era of 2000 or 1990s when they were like the industry was very different. But I think there are a lot of jobs in India these days, and especially Bangalore, where we are placed, because a lot of the let's say banks, or G has their like a big research center in Bangalore. Goldman Sachs has a big office in Bangalore. HSBC had a big office in Bangalore where I was working, and then I got transferred to London. So I think the landscape in India has improved a lot, and it's very strong. So yeah, basically, I think things might be at par, might not be at par in terms of pay or things like that, but I think acceleration wise, you will get a good landscape in India as well.
Right. Okay, so this next question is something that is, so it's a very specific question, but I can ask it in a very general way. So the question is, can I do a master's or PhD in economics if I take a materials major, which is obviously pointed to the flexibility of further studies?
I don't find a reason why not. I know someone who was just 1 year junior to me, who I think majored in mathematics and did a master's in economics from London School of Economics. I think you might have to check what kind of courses are required as a prerequisite for a economics degree, at least a master's. And then even if you're pursuing materials as your major, you might still have the flexibility of taking some electives, which you can do those courses in IISc and then just have the prerequisites ready.
So not limited by your major, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so the next question from the audience is that what was your first placement after finishing UG at IISc?
Yeah, so I was hired by Ernst & Young. I was working in their risk management team in Bangalore. So I was over there for 1.5 years, 7 months out of which I had spent in New York City in their Times Square office, which was quite a nice experience for me right out of college, working in the US. Yeah, so that was my first placement.
And okay, so do you think that having a formal placement process only for the UGs and IISc will help?
I think it would help. I'm not sure how effectively can it be worked out or facilitated, because we just don't have the numbers. There are few people who want to get the jobs, and let's say if a company is coming to a campus, they want to at least interview 50 people. We might just have 30 people who want jobs. So uh, having a placement process would definitely help, but I think the approach that needs to be taken has to be a little tailored to the numbers we have in IISc, basically.
Right. Okay, so this is a bit specific about your job, I guess. So can you suggest some books or sources to learn about stock markets, trading and investments, like how to start in this field or something?
I think Investopedia is a good source. Because when I started in finance, I had no idea about finance. I just had some math skills and programming skills. So I definitely looked up every word that I did not know on Google, and Investopedia usually had most of the answers. And there's another book that I read a lot. It's by the author John C. Hull. It's like the Bible of quantitative finance. So yeah, it's the most basic book which you can read. Yeah, that should be a good start.
Right. That's how you start. That's good.
Yeah.
And okay, so like a lot of people want to join the R&D sectors of companies after doing their PhD, and basically they wish to do academic work in an industry environment with competitive salaries. Do you know of anyone who's done this, or what is your advice to such students?
Yes, I know people who have done this. I know someone who has recently started working in a research lab in the US after completing her PhD. I think there's someone in France as well who's again he's worked in additive manufacturing and on the material science aspect of it, and he's also doing like a PhD which is sponsored by a company. So there are definitely people who do this, and the prospects are really good, I feel. Yeah, from what I know.
Okay, it's great. And yeah, okay, so one question a bit off topic. So could you please share your experience of Pravega for our viewers?
Um, Pravega is very close to my heart because I think when we started working studying in IISc Bangalore, there were no fests, and all the other colleges around us used to have fests. So we wanted to start something which was on similar lines. And we started talking about it, I guess, in 2012, and the first edition was able to have like take place in Jan of 2014. There was a lot of work that went into putting that fest, and I think it's just amazing that something that we started in like our first few years has still stuck together. So for me, the Pravega experience is it's yeah, I cannot describe it in words. It's just too close to my heart. And yeah, you've seen, right?
We
Like
all have
I
you
have,
to thank.
yeah, I have uh, attended every edition except for
Yeah,
one. So so yeah, I
that
think that
proves it.
explains it. Yeah,
We really have you to thank for it because we love Pravega and it's thanks to
not
you
just
guys.
me, but there are
Your
other
batch.
other people in my batch who worked probably much more harder than me, and then that is why Pravega is there.
It's great. It's a good start. So back to the placements topic. So okay, so we've talked about on-campus placements. How do off-campus placements work for students?
So on campus versus off campus. So on campus placements, let's say, would take place in the fall semester when you still have one more semester going, like after that, and companies will come and like they'll have formal like interview process in one day, and then you'll get a job. Off campus is what I was talking about while I was saying networking. So you need to basically reach out to people by yourself, and there are a lot of headhunters and recruiters in Bangalore whom you need to reach out to, and then like say that, yeah, this is my CV, these are my skill sets. Do you have an opportunity for me? If they have, then they can get you like at least some interviews lined up. So it's a little different, and it needs to be done somewhere near to when you are graduating from the course. I think if you do it in the fall semester, it might be too early, but you need to definitely still start thinking about it in the fall semester. Yeah.
Right. And okay, so this is a very general question. And so like people who are right now in the undergraduate in IISc, what are some tips, general tips that you would like to share with us?
I think one tip would be to study thoroughly. I think that is something that I probably did not focus on a lot. I think, yeah, studying is very important. Even if you don't like some subjects, you should still focus properly on the subjects you like and study properly. And in terms of other tips, I feel like I've already talked about networking. The other thing that I would say is make sure you play a sport or take part in some sort of extracurricular activities, because if you just study in the 4 years, it's going to get you to a good place, but you need other skills to survive in the industry or even in your academic life later on. You need to have some other skills. So get at least one or two skills soft skills that will help you further in life.
So holistic development is the most
Yes,
important.
it is very important. Definitely
Yeah.
is.
And okay, so a personal question for you. Do you have any plans of revisiting academia after leaving it?
I have plans, but I don't have plans. It's not set in stone because I've just recently started working in the job over here, and I think I'm going to give it some time over here, and we'll see where it takes me. I had some plans earlier, but I don't have any plans right now, basically. So,
All right. And now a question for MBA hopefuls. So obviously, as we know that doing an MBA from top Indian universities is not at all cheap, obviously. So
yeah.
according to you, is it worth the investment doing an MBA after ICUG given the currently bleak economy due to the pandemic?
Yes, I think doing an MBA or doing any sorts of studies always helps. I would not I think my answer won't change if there was COVID or not.
Right.
And I think doing an MBA would definitely help. Yes, it is costly, but yes, there are sorts of student loans available which everyone takes. So I've worked with a lot of grads from IIMs when I was working in India in HSBC. Everyone just takes a student loan, and like they try to pay it off after they start working. So think of it as an investment, and definitely go for it if that's something you want to do. But yeah, the key point over here is to figure out that is something you want to do or not, because it's a 2-year course. They're precious years of your life where you could have actually worked or like worked towards a PhD or a master's degree. So if you really want to grow in, let's say, marketing or finance, then yes, definitely MBA might help, and it should be a good investment.
Right. So that's an important point, undoubtedly.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so now we know that obviously IISc is one of the top rated universities in Asia and even in the world at this point, and obviously the top rated one in India. So does this ranking thing actually help ahead that your university has such a high ranking, or is it more about the skills only?
I think it can get you in the door for interviews, but if you do not have the skills, it doesn't matter.
Right.
The name tag can probably help you with getting some of the interviews in the first few years of your job life, but later on it's all about how you develop your skills and how you take it from there. So yeah, I think for the first 2 years maybe it helps a little, but later on it's about how you shape your career.
And now the obvious kind of the elephant in the room. So is there any benefit of IIT over IISc in non-academic careers?
Uh, um, I don't know how. So I would say there are definitely like pros and cons of going to both the universities. I think the pros are definitely that IITs have a very formal placement process in place, and so if you really just want a job and and you're not that interested in science, maybe IITs are a good place. IISc, however, gives you a very like holistic kind of education. We study biology and like environmental science and a lot of science subjects. And then we have the freedom of taking electives, a lot of electives. So we can pretty much shape our coursework as however we want. So uh, if you want mainstream jobs, then definitely IIT would be probably better. But if you want to shape your own career yourself and you're not scared of like taking the going the extra mile for doing that, then I think IISc is kind of in a better place.
So yeah, both have their advantages and
Yeah,
disadvantages.
yeah, definitely. So both will always have their advantages and disadvantages. IITians always have like a big kind of like they have a lot of alumni who are placed everywhere in the world. For us, we started in 2011. Now the alumni network is growing slowly and slowly, but it is there. It's just that it takes time to develop
Right.
these things. So yeah,
Definitely. Okay, so yeah, a very important question now is internships. So that they are an integral part of a thing. So what types of internship did you pursue, and what type of internship would you want, like, would you advise people to pursue?
so it again depends on the career aspirations that you have. I wasn't too sure about what I wanted to do until I got my job in Ernst& Young. So I did academic internships. So my first year was in IISc, my second year was in IIT Delhi, and then my third year was in SUNY Buffalo. And yeah, I was basically focusing on some sorts of internships on the material science side or physics side. But um, what I would suggest people doing if let's say you want to go into in the data science industry, then there are a lot of startups in Bangalore which would help you like get an internship over there. So try doing things like that. If you're interested in finance, if you want to pursue your career in finance, then maybe like working on CFA on the side might help. So it's not like a direct internship, but that's the skill that you really want to like gain. And yeah, that would be my take on it. It's
So internships are an integral part of it.
Yeah, definitely they are there.
Okay, so now, okay, so for example, like we are doing a UG program. So can I get to do a master's in CS after the UG program because we don't have a CS major?
Um, I think if you major in math and take the relevant courses, you can. I think there was someone. I think there's someone in IISc right now who's from my batch, and he did this. So I'm not sure if he's doing a master's or PhD in CSA, but he's doing a grad course in CSA.
Yeah, so that's what, like, does it matter that you have not done a BTech in CS?
I don't think I don't think it matters because eh, again, like you can take math courses, you can take electives which are from the CS department. I don't think there's a lot of hindrance on that. So it's about how you want to structure your course and then take it from there.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about materials, maths, and CS and physics. So a biology question. Do you know of anyone from biology background who's gone into a job? Or is it like easy or what?
Uh, I'm just not sure. I think one of my friends, she's in Copenhagen. She's able to get one of those like company sponsored kind of graduate things after like a postdoctoral position after her PhD. But yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
Okay, so biology is not a field. No.
No, I wouldn't say it's not a field, but it's just that I am
As
not
in,
too
I
sure
mean,
about it,
a
and
field
you
that
need
we
to
are
read each.
like we know the depth of that way.
Yes. I would definitely not be the right person to comment, but yeah, you can reach out to people in the like Facebook groups that we have, and then they would be able to help.
Right.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah. So obviously nowadays a very like popular thing amongst college students is startups. So what is the startup scene in IS?
In IISc, I don't think there's yeah, I don't think there's anyone who has did a startup, but I think there are a lot of people who are working in startups, definitely. So they might be able to like get that
Yeah.
experience and do a startup later on. But I think being in Bangalore helps because the startup culture over there is really nice, and there are just so many sprawling startups over there. So if you're interested in something like that, then probably just like I know there are a lot of events that keep on happening where all these startups come and they show what they're doing and how they're structuring themselves and how they pick up funding from the market. So but attending those kind of events might help early on during your second or third year, and then you can think about like starting your own company. That I think if someone does that, it will be really great to see
Yeah,
some of the startups from our course.
we are hoping that too.
Yeah.
So okay, and yeah. So recently there were talks of introducing some new minors at ISC, like
Actually,
bioengineering.
I would like to actually stop you. Sorry, I
Okay,
just
okay,
remembered. One of my friends actually has a startup. So in the educational sector, so
okay,
these guys basically have their startup who they try to do like psychology stuff for schools in Northeast India. So yeah, I think, and he has a quite successful startup. So they basically try to arrange for psychologists
yeah.
in the schools in Northeast India. So yeah, I think yeah, there's one startup definitely that I know of.
That's great. We have a start.
Yeah, we have a start. Yes.
Okay, so as I was saying that, yeah, so new minors, there's been talk of introducing new minors at ISC, and I think a bioengineering minor has been introduced, and now the talks are going on to introduce a data science minor. So do you think this would be helpful, and should this be fast tracked?
I'm not aware of these new minors, but I think the data science minor would definitely help. I'm sure it will have some structured courses around how to deal with data and what are the right like kind of toolkits that are available in, let's say, Python or the libraries that Google has made, sklearn, TensorFlow, stuff like that. So I'm sure those kind of courses would help, and I would think of it as a very nice thing and should be fast. It should be fast
Yeah,
tracked if something like that is
definitely,
in the talks.
definitely. And okay, so you obviously talked about the co-curricular activities, right? So what are the co-curricular activities that you did during your UG years?
So I used to when I started in my first year, I used to play hockey in my first year. Then I used to be in the like athletics camp for 2 3 years. I Most of my stuff was photography, and arranging stuff like helping with Pravega, or there's another career fair that we had called as Samanvay. So I was in the organizing team for that as well. I also made sure that we all did almost one performance every semester, like a dance performance.
Yeah,
In I think it was called Jhankar at our time. So we used to give a dance performance as well. So I think yeah, it was everywhere for me, and I think I really enjoyed it.
definitely were an all-rounder, I see.
Uh,
And
if you want to see more of it, then you can go to my Facebook page, and I think you'll there's some
okay.
self publicity right there. But yeah, you can see my
Definitely,
Facebook page
definitely.
and have a lot of stuff there.
Nice. And okay, so Madhav is asking that is it better to have MBA from foreign rather than from India?
I think the answer to that is again depends on what your goals are. If you want to, let's say, get a job in the US, definitely an American MBA would help. But the setback over there is that you need some experience to get into American MBAs. You need at least 5 to 6 years of work experience to get into foreign MBAs. However, in India, you can just write the CAT exam and then take your MBA from there. So um, it's again very, very dependent on what you want to do in life. But be mindful that it takes some sort of work experience to get an MBA from the US. You need some experience beforehand.
Experience matters, right?
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, okay, so like obviously we are talking about getting into an industry or a company after just after BS. So does this have any shortcomings in the future? You know, the lack of having a higher degree, master's or something.
No, I don't think so. So let's say I did not have a lot of like grad level courses because I was just an undergrad, but I was able to do all these courses from Coursera and LinkedIn Learning. And there's another course that I did called as Certificate in Quantitative Finance. I'm still pursuing that course. So there's a plethora of like stuff that is available on the internet. If you think that skill wise you were lacking something on your job, you can just do a course that is tailored toward that. Like CFA is a very nice example, right? If you're working in investment banking, let's say after BS, and you think that you don't know some of the things that you should know for finance, you can just go ahead and like start your CFA curriculum, and that would help. So, and that's more industry specific curriculum anyways. So there are courses which you can do. Yeah.
Right, right. Okay. So the next question that we have is okay. So yeah, this is a personal one again. So you've been in IISc like 4 years. So what are the three places that you miss from IISc the most?
I think I definitely miss Prakriti because of like I loved the idli sambar that was there served in Prakriti. I definitely do miss the ground that we have Gymkhana basically because I think I've spent my most of my time over there. And I think the main building was, uh, I think we all know about the main building, so I don't have to praise about it.
Definitely.
I used to go to the main building even now, so I made sure that I visit the main building a lot of times, even after basically graduating from IISc.
Pretty good memories. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so can you share your experience at the ISRO visit and when you met Shri APJ Abdul Kalam?
Yeah, I was the ISRO visit, sorry.
Yeah, that's the question.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
IS.
so Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam came to IISc when we were like in our first year, and we were very, very privileged to meet him at that time. I think our course was very close to his heart, and I think he had from what I know, he had a good uh, part in like establishing this course. So he was very kind of giving us personal attention, and like we were able to like click photos and with him and like meet him and discuss with him about some of the stuff that we were doing at that time in our life. I think the experience was really nice, and I definitely have not met such humble people at like such heights in their career basically. Yeah,
Great
very, very
person, no
humble
doubt.
person. Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
person. And okay, also that now, given now that obviously it's been like almost 10 years, almost a decade that the IISc program has started. So a lot of alumni are now working in academia or in the industry or even in corporate jobs. So how do you think that the upcoming batches, what should we do to kind of create a network about the alumni that can help us? Like right now, there isn't a proper
Um,
network.
I think the network kind of exists on Facebook. We do have the IISc group. Make sure you're very active over there. That is one of the things that we can maybe foster more. And then the other thing we can do is like we can make a network on LinkedIn or like have some. sort of broadcast emails that, like, let's say I have a job in my own company, and I can just send a email blast to that email ID saying that I have this job. Do you want to get considered? So I think those are the things that we can do. And I
Okay.
think we should also definitely do some of the alumni meets, which are specific to UG as well. I think a lot of other
We're hoping
colleges do
that.
that.
We're hoping for that.
We should do
Looking
that.
forward.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think the onus is on you guys because
Yes,
we are already passed out. You guys need to organize something like that.
we surely will. Really, really hoping to meet you there
Yeah.
in the future. Okay, and okay, so next question is, in industries, what matters more, the experience or the amount of degrees and skills?
I think degrees lose importance after a certain time. The experience is the most important thing. The kind of experience you have had on the different, like while working on different desks in the office, definitely helps.
Right.
The degrees will get you in the door. After that, it's all your
That is
experience.
something.
Yeah, that's going to help.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And okay, so we talked about the core jobs and non-core jobs, and obviously we know that after doing an IISc, the non-core jobs are easier to get. But what are the actual prospects of like a core job, like a good paying, well-paid core job? What exactly do you do? Should you
Uh, uh, Good paying core job. I don't have a lot of like data points for this. At least personally, I don't have them. Um, yeah, probably just focus on your masters and just get your
do?
masters out of the way, and it might take you a year or two depending upon where you go, and then you can get settled in like one of the good companies with a good role in the core industry.
Right. Okay, so we have a personal question. So, how do you think the Imperial College London compares with IISc for say physics for both academic and non-academic future job prospects?
I don't think I'll answer that. Yeah, I'm not the right person to answer this kind of question. Yeah, because I'm not the person who can compare. I did not study physics, and I did not study at Imperial College, so I will not
Yeah.
compare. Yeah.
And okay, so what can you tell about the notebook drive? That have you participated in the notebook drive for IISc?
Yeah. So I was a core member, I think, in the first or second year, and it's a great initiative, right? So there's a guy named Pankaj Jain. I think he started it, and we used to work together when I was in college. We try to sponsor kids in the rural areas in Bangalore and around, and we try to give them some scholarship. We try to do some hand holding over there by saying we host some, like, let's say tuition classes, or where we can help them with some of the subjects, and we do these small things like the Teachers Day celebration or Children's Day celebration, where we go and distribute notebooks in the school.
Yeah.
So that's how the name, like, is there. So we distribute notebooks, and then yeah, I think it's a good experience, and everyone should get involved into it. If you have the time, definitely go and help, because this is for a good cause, and you will be able to see the cause when you're working over there. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
agree. It's a very good
yeah,
initiative. It's something
yeah.
that we always inspire. Okay. And okay, so I think that's it for the questions from the audience. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
All right. So I was just yeah. Okay. So this brings us to the end of the question answer session, and obviously a big thank you for giving us those brilliant insights into the world of any student after UG, and how and what should we do. And yeah, I'm sure everybody has learned a lot today from your wonderful guidance. Okay, so all right, and yeah, just for 1 minute for everybody in the audience, um, uh, we would like to thank Abhinav for his time and the wonderful experience that I had interacting with him, and I'm sure that you had as well, learning from him. And we thank the audience for being patient and cooperative throughout the enlightening session. And thanks for participating with us with the questions. And please join us tomorrow as well. We have a lot of talks of Pravega. So tomorrow we have a talk by Dr. Prajwal Bhatt, and it is tomorrow at 11 a.m. and he'll be talking about AI meets biology. And finally, we have given a feedback form, which would just take 2 minutes to fill. So yeah, please fill it up and let us know how it was. And yeah, thanks a lot, Abhinav, for your time. It was really, really wonderful
Yeah,
talking to you. And it
yeah,
was a
same
great
here, right?
experience.
So yeah, I think I want to help the students as much as possible. And like as a closing remark, I would just like to say that think of studying in IISc more of an experience, and do not come with like preconceived notions of winning the Nobel Prize in physics. You might end up doing it, but do not have like these notions when you're starting studying over there. Come with the notion of like studying and living with like some of the brilliant minds of the nation, and you will learn just a lot by just being present in IISc. And if you think that there is some sort of parental or external pressure, then please just think that the day you enter IISc, you decide to walk on a path which is not walked by many. So the pressure might be there, but you do not have to let it affect yourself. Just if you choose to go into academics or industry, you make a decision and you just stand by it. And sometimes things work out and sometimes they don't. So when they don't, you still have the strong network and like the educational background of IISc to like as a fallback. So just keep on working hard, and I think you'll be good. Everyone who's studying over there would be good.
Definitely. That's a wonderful
Yeah.
perspective, I must say.
Yeah.
And thank you for the well helpful Abhinav to help us all.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me for this talk. Really
It
nice
was,
talk.
it was a wonderful experience talking to
Yeah. Thanks.
you. So thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Yeah. You too.